we are no longer able to carry, to go beyond what we are suffering now.
It's something so uncontrollable that's eating your community up.
So we are suffering from the same problem.
We need to stop putting CO2 into the atmosphere. But once it's already in there, carbon removal is one of the few tools that directly addresses that cause of suffering.
So carbon dioxide removal is the act of taking carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and putting it away at a time scale that is impactful for climate.
We've built a direct air capture facility that actually removes carbon from the air and permanently sequesters it into concrete.
I go to work every day with 13 Kenyans who are really motivated to solving the greatest problem of our time.
Human ingenuity is something that I would bet on every single day.
Carbon removal needs to happen. It's not a question of like, can we do this? We must do this. We must find a way.
I'm a big fan of algae. I think they quite literally will save the world.
We as human beings need to be continuously searching for opportunities to solve this issue of climate change, to really try and make an impact. I think we'll succeed.
With the journey we started, it's very ambitious to do it, but we're on track.
How do we bring in industries that use energy and will give the license to develop everything as quickly as possible?
Sargassum, sequestering it and using it as the kryptonite for carbon.
There are policies and stakes that are being put in place of like, here's what we want to see with carbon removals.
Scientists have known that this is possible for a really long time.
One of the ways to pull CO2 out of the atmosphere, which is the weathering of rocks.
So it's a win-win situation for growers.
Biochar had so many different applications. One big bag, 1.5 tons of CO2.
A nature-based solution to grow microalgae for the purpose of carbon sequestration.
We need to stop just talking about it. We need to take a real action.
If you want to go really fast, you want to go together.
We better get it right in the first place because we really don't have a second shot here.
All hands on deck.
There we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the closing session of the conference, and I hope this is a bit of a gear change, actually, but good and fun. I'm really delighted that we've got with us today Layla Connors, who you can see on screen. Hi, Layla. I hope you can hear us well.
And thanks for having me.
Great, and we can hear you. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. So that was the trailer to the film that you are producer and director of, Legion 44. Thanks so much for taking the time. I didn't know until just a few weeks ago that there was a film about carbon dioxide removal coming out, so I'm very excited to hear that. For people who don't know you, this isn't your first gig when it comes to climate. You co-directed The 11th Hour, which featured Leonardo DiCaprio a few years back. But I'm wondering, even though we have a bunch of carbon dioxide removal geeks in the room, I suspect even we didn't think that this was sort of natural film material. So what brought you to this topic as the subject of your latest film?
Well, I've been following this process since I heard about Klaus Lackner in 1999. And so because we were dealing with the emergence of the climate issue in the global arena, we were interested in seeing how that was scaling because it was in a lab pretty much back then. And what we do at Trinity Media is to really sort of tell stories about a world we all want to live in, or a world that works, or all those things. And, normal funded projects that are large scale film wise are usually not about these topics. So we do it independently, and we feel like, we make big movies about real things that sort of, that pave a pathway forward. And CDR is obviously something that a lot of people don't know exists. I mean, very intelligent people, CEOs, things like people like that who don't know that you can take carbon out of the sky, and people need to know because it's part of the climate toolkit. Obviously, we have to reduce emissions, but we can't get where we need to go without CDR. And there's a lot of misinformation also about who's funding it and the purpose of it, and does it really work, and what are the pathways? Everyone thinks it's only direct air capture machines. Visually, that's gotten a lot of play. So it definitely was time to do what I call a big framework movie. And so we did it. And it's coming out this fall.
Great, thank you. So, I mean, tell us the story behind it. I think we got a flavor of it in the trailer. But obviously we can hear you're from the US, you're based in the US, but there are quite a lot of different locations in this film, right? So I'd love to hear, where did you go, but also how did you go on this sort of journey of discovery and find the carbon removal projects and people that you found?
Sure. Well, like I said, I was aware of this for a while. Ice on Fire broke the story on Christophe and Jan and Climeworks back when they opened their Himmel plant. And then the pandemic hit, Ice on Fire came out. We went to Cannes in 2019, and then the pandemic hit, and so I kind of lost track of what was going on. I knew that enhanced rock weathering was getting going, and when I was emerging from the pandemic, I moved from LA to New York, and two young people, Paulina and Fabian, called me and said, they were really interested in doing a movie just on CDR. And I thought, it would be interesting to check back in to see how the industry was doing. And lo and behold, it had exploded. So basically, in terms of how we find people, it's because we do a lot of reading. In Tree Media, we're sort of like a think tank. So it's native to just the reading that we do, the people that we know, some of the investors that came along. So that's how we found everyone. But we went to, we saw 4401 in Oman. We went to Kenya because natively, as you all in the room, I'm assuming know, the Rift Valley is ideal for direct air capture. There's also, it's interesting story, our fixer from Kenya actually got so excited about this, he became the founder of Flux. Sam Davies, he originally helped us film, and he got so excited he started. So really, it's about the impetus of the movie is about this sort of spontaneous emergence post-pandemic and this maturation of this industry, or this attempt to now scale it quickly, and that there are these really clear pathways, and there's really clear concepts that have emerged. The idea that deep carbon pools, the restoration of deep carbon pools. You weren't hearing that 5 years ago in general conversation, right? Maybe within some private, in engineering schools or in some of the, companies, but you don't hear that too often. So we're trying to bring that concept forward because there was a lot of conflation between nature credits and, what companies were buying, Amazon, rainforest tracts, and then they were reselling them, and there was a big explosion with Vera and this whole idea that there was fraud and all that. And what we're making another movie called Indra's Web, all about that, the sort of the carbon piracy and the rush to these large carbon sinks. But anyway, so Legion 44 is about deep carbon pools, the restoration of deep carbon pools, long-term storage, putting it back for over 1,000 years. So, and then we ended up, in St. Vincent with the Sargassum, Kenya, Ireland with Silicate, the South with Lithos and Mariap, and of course, Heirloom in California. A few more.
You mentioned the film title is Legion 44. Maybe you should just unpack that a bit. It might not be obvious to most, certainly non-experts, where that title comes from.
Well, the weight is sort of Legion is this rising group of people with a mission, and then 44 is the molecular weight of carbon dioxide, and it's sort of the weight of so as we all know, that a lot of people are experiencing climate depression. There's a lot of, because people don't think it is because the renewable energy really has been the only pathway that everyone's talking about, especially in the United States, up until recently with CDR. And obviously, we're not seeing renewables being deployed in the rate that we need them to be, and emissions reduction just isn't happening. We have war now and all this stuff. So there's a lot of climate depression, and so this sort of spontaneous emergence of these people with new ideas and a real way to sort of reverse the damage done to our atmosphere is a revelation, and sort of this weight might be lifted. So inside the film, there's a lot of sort of we show people basically freaking out. We use a lot of social media montages to show in the midst of the CDR emergence, people throwing soup on paintings, people doing all sorts of weird things because they don't have a purchase on this issue. And I find CDR so interesting because even here, there are some high schools that I've shown, the Scion machines, they're doing their own little direct air capture. There's more room for more people, I think, with CDR. Yeah. And that's why it's called Legion 44.
Great. And I mean, you touched on the emissions point. It's funny, actually, the opening session, the plenary session we had this morning was about the topic of how can we accelerate carbon dioxide removal and also accelerate emissions reduction. And it's interesting, we had a little in-house poll that we did, and it was noticeable that even in this carbon dioxide removal expert community, there were quite a few people, the majority of people in the room polled, saying they were worried that talk about carbon removal might take the focus away from reducing emissions. And of course, we're at this point where there's increasing awareness, as you say, that carbon removal is necessary, but global emissions have basically never been higher, and there's a whole lot of non-negotiable work needs to be done on emissions reduction. So is that a theme you came across, and how do you try to get that across in the film, and how so? How do you deal with that?
Well, Sebastian Manhart appears in the middle of the movie around scaling, and he talks about this. I mean, we always talk about emission reductions first, but if we don't start scaling CDR now, we already have to scale CDR faster than the solar industry scaled. And if we don't scale it now, it'll have to scale probably beyond a scale that's possible, probably 70% year on year. As it is now, it's 40%. And I don't want to throw numbers around because I can't. I'm just repeating what he said, so I can't back it up. But assumes, we put ourselves in a tough spot. And I think part of the permission to pollute discussion and, let's not talk about this other thing because this other thing won't happen. At this point, given my experience, I mean, I've been in this space for probably 25 years now. I even worked with Gorbachev when he mentioned the green helmets, and when, he said now that well, that's another issue, but we really have to tackle this issue. I've been on this for a long time. I just don't see the way the world is going that, unfortunately, let's just say, let's not talk about CDR, and therefore, the assumption is, and therefore, they're going to double down on renewables. I just don't see that happening. I don't see the lessening, or if you do not focus on CDR, it doesn't mean that more focus will happen in renewables. That's just an assumption. I think the world is going to exploit as much oil as possible because the wars that are happening now require a lot of fossil fuel usage. And I find that the environmental conversation often doesn't include things like war, unless maybe you discussed it. But
well, actually, that point about if we didn't talk about CDR, would emissions reduce any faster was one that came up, actually. So yeah, that's a kind of resonant theme. Maybe a cheeky question. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you finish your thought, and then I'll ask you another one.
Oh, that's it. I just don't see, because we've had a runway where CDR wasn't around, and renewables, Jimmy Carter put solar panels on the White House in the 70s. Okay, so I think there's other reasons why renewables haven't scaled, and we have to address those. It's not because, people are talking about something else,
Okay, what's your favorite CDR method?
Oh, that's not fair. They're all great. I kind of think that sinking seaweed's interesting, just because seaweed is in the petrotons, and especially sargassum doesn't have a substrate. And so I think that's interesting because I think it can just do a lot. I think what Planetary is doing with ocean alkalinity is fascinating. Yeah, I think, again, regardless of what I say, and also regardless, here's what's also interesting, and I think it becomes clear in the film, regardless of what anyone says, the Legion is rising. And that's kind of going to be in our trailer, because what you guys saw was a teaser. I didn't have all my elements in, so it's not everything in that teaser. But the trailer is going to make the point that regardless of if, let's just say, someone hates DAC, because I've noticed that the biochar community and the DAC community, biochar hates DAC because it does all the removals right now, and everyone hates the machines. I mean, I've shown the movie now to some people. Some people are technophobes, and they see the machine, they go, "This is bad." And they see the quarries, and they go, "This is terrible." What about trees, and what about agriculture? We'll just do it with regenerative ag. And what I'm finding is that there's just people now in their sort of not fear, but their intensity around solutions have doubled down on certain pathways, right? And I think that's really dangerous because everywhere is going to scale what they can. So for example, in Africa, they're going to scale DAC, regardless of if sinking seaweed's better. Do you know what I mean? Like they're just going to do it because the young engineers are doing it regardless of whatever we say. Whatever, like climate justice people in New York State, where I live now, want to ban DAC. So there's some people that want to ban DAC and biochar. And what I'm saying is you can go ahead and ban DAC in New York State, but it's still going to happen in Africa, regardless of what you think. Because I think it's like, the gloves are off and people are really trying to fix this problem. And that's what the movie is kind of showing. And it's not chaotic, right? It's obviously extremely rational.
It's a great answer. I have to apologize to you. When I did force you to name one, you kind of got, I think you made about 5 new best friends in the room and then everyone else groaned. So sorry about that.
Oh, really?
No, that was a divisive question on my part. So great. I know that you're super busy kind of putting the finishing touches to the films you said, and it's going into the Venice Film Festival. When can the general population see it? Okay, you applied. That's good. We wish you all the best. I don't know if it'll take... When can we be looking out for it, and where?
Well, this is a call to everyone in the room. I'm very happy to do screenings with you all. So the way we're going to do it, because this is a whole nother conversation, but Hollywood's changed a lot. Distribution models have changed a lot, and a lot of films are going it alone, and that's what we're going to be doing, because we need to get this movie out as fast as possible. So hopefully Venice takes us. If not, it's Zurich or Vienna. There's a couple other festivals. We'll do a bunch. But we're hoping for Venice. We will have our first major premiere in New York during Climate Week. You're all invited. And then we will do one in Zurich during probably the Zurich Film Festival, and then we'll be in Nairobi. We will do one in London. We'll do one in Paris. And what we'd like to do is have people in the lobby tabling with whatever it is that they want to discuss, and have experts, local experts, to do the Q&As. They don't have to be in the movie. So this movie is for you all. It's a tool. I'm hoping you like it. I think you will. We've been very careful to say all the right things. We talk about MRV. So
great one.
Great we do. We talk about MRV, guys.
I think
if we had standards, I would talk about standards, but we haven't set standards yet, and I'm excited for when that happens. But
yeah, I guess there's only so many kind of Lord of the Rings length films you can have, but plenty to talk about. So I think it's legion44.world is the website, isn't it? And I know there's a place people can click through if they want to do university screenings and be more involved. Layla, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. It's really, really fascinating to hear, and I think we wish you all the best with the film. We're looking forward to seeing it, so thank you.
Thank you for the time, and thank you for having me. Have a great day.
Great. Well, we have another very special guest, and one who's here in person, actually. So we have Sir Alok Sharma, who many of you, I think, will know, certainly in the UK, as a former minister, but most of you will know in the room as the president of COP26, the negotiations that were held in Glasgow. So I don't think Sir Alok needs much more of an introduction than that, really. He was the man, and with his team, we finally got the first reference into a kind of COP headline text to a fossil fuel, which I think for most average people is baffling, but for those of us in the room who know what's involved, it's a truly extraordinary achievement. So, Sir Alok, would you like to come up? I have to give you the opportunity to say...
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm no longer a member of Parliament, but I'm still a politician. So you put one of these in front of someone and they'll speak. Look, firstly, can I say, Steve, thank you so much for inviting me. And the reason that I'm in Oxford is that I've now joined the Oxford Martin School as a visiting fellow and hopefully have an opportunity to interact with many other parts of the university as well. I thought that was a fascinating interview with Layla. And my view on this is that I think we need to be doing everything very quickly. So I don't think there is some sort of divide between, trying to take CO2 out of the atmosphere and doing more in terms of renewables. But one thing I will say is that the pace isn't fast enough, but just have a think that right now, 30% of all electricity that's produced in the world is from renewables. There was a target set by countries that they would triple the amount of renewables capacity by 2030. If we did that, by 2030, 60% of all energy would be coming from renewables. So, you need to be doing that quickly as well as all of this stuff. So that's the first point I want to make. The second thing I just wanted to say is that, if you look at the targets that we have got, I think part of the problem, unfortunately, is that governments are not acting quickly enough. So they all turn up all these climate conferences, all the leaders, and they'll make these sort of fine speeches. But basically what it needs is folks in this room and the general population around the world to tell their leaders they need to do more a lot faster. So I'm kind of relying on all of you here as we go forward to keep raising this case and why it's so important. And the final thing I want to say is that it's great to hear there's a film that is coming out. When I was doing COP during that 3-year period, there was a film crew following John Kerry, Frans Timmermans, myself, and a few other people. So hopefully there will be a film called 1.5 coming out in the coming months. And it's based on climate negotiations. And I never thought you could actually make climate negotiations interesting, but we'll see what that does. But for me, I think it's really important that we have these kind of sort of films, this kind of sort of discourse going on constantly to keep raising basically the focus on climate, because it's going to matter for me and my generation, but I tell you, it's going to matter a lot more for all of you. So please keep fighting the good fight.
Thank you. Stay here. Thank you so much. Very wise and experienced words. And I didn't know about the film. That's fantastic. I wonder how many hours long a film about climate negotiations would be.
They did a lot of filming, actually, I can tell you that.
I also happen to know, just a slight side note, there's a film called Wilding coming out based on the book by Isabella Tree. So it feels like there's a real sort of cultural moment. Interest is gathering about this on many fronts. Just as we're in the closing final minutes, we have a really joyous moment. We've been running a few competitions, and we'd like to announce the winners of those competitions. So if I can invite up Nem Vaughan and Isabella, and Ume as well, Isabella Butner. Nem, you have been chairing the competition for the poster prize, haven't you? So you're mic'd up. Excellent. I'll hand over to you. Do you want to announce the winners?
Certainly. So just to let everybody know, the posters we've had around the conference, which have all been up and really engaged with. We had our poster session on Tuesday. We had over 82 posters in person and virtually that myself, Simon Pang and Ingrid Schruter all assessed before the conference. And we were assessing it on criteria of visual layout and attention grabbing, but also on the ability to communicate their scientific content, which we acknowledge is really challenging and interesting challenge for in such an interdisciplinary audience. So I'm really pleased to announce we have 2 first place winners, and our first place winner is Karina Rodriguez. And then I'm not sure if they're online.
Not get a prize of some sort.
She gets some cash, which we'll send to her.
The check is
There's
in the post, I think, isn't
£100.
it? And we didn't want to, we didn't want to waste paper unless you responsibly sequestered it afterwards. So yes.
Oh, look at this, the magic of Zoom, because our other first place prize winner is Felix Dortmund, who is on the train as we speak.
Well done, Felix.
And our indecisiveness / the amazing quality of the posters mean we invented. So Felix and Karina will get some cash, and Tom just gets the prize and the adulation of knowing that he got highly commended for his poster as well, which was brilliant. So Tom Thurlow there.
Well done, Tom. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Nem. Now, many of you will be aware, and congratulations to our prize winners. Many of you will be aware that we not only ran a poster competition, but we also ran an image competition. This is something a little bit different. Yes, in case you missed the posters, but they will be available on the app and on the conference platform, so you can take a look. They're really great pieces of work. We ran this image competition, and just to tell you a bit more about that and to announce the winners, I think I will pass over to Isabella. There you go, Isabella.
Thank you. Yes, we ran the first ever image competition for GGRs called Visions for GGRs. We were really excited to receive actually 24 entries in 2 categories, 11 photographs and 13 illustrations. So the difference between the 2 categories is the photographs had to photograph on already existing greenhouse gas removal being demonstrated around, and the illustrations had a future vision of how would the future look with GGR in it. Then we took the 24 entries, and we had a really hard job to actually decide 4 winners and also decide to put forward 7 participants in each category for the wider public to vote. We received actually 1,503 votes. Very well done, voting people. It was really hard work, but now we have our winners. Yep. And Uma will read who they are.
So I'll first announce the winners for the Envisioning GGR category, which is like design and illustration. The first prize was the GGR Dream Map by Sabiha Imani. I think she sent a video to talk about
And the jury, I am so honored that my poster has been selected as the top entry. Initially, I was a bit overwhelmed when I read the brief, but as I gathered information and I read up more about it, it became a lot more, I got a lot more clarity, and it became very simple. And I realized that a lot of it was already something that I was familiar with. As a communication designer, I wanted to create a poster which was simple, direct, and very easy to understand, and it would create awareness amongst all age groups about this topic. 200 kilometers away from our house, we have mangroves, and they have been destroyed, and land has been reclaimed, and it has been very painful watching that. Funds have been allocated for tree plantations, but whether it is planned and managed properly is something that we don't know about. So to create an awareness of this is very important, and I hope that I'm successful in doing this, not only within Pakistan and Karachi, but I hope that the poster creates awareness in a lot more places. Thank you so much.
Well done.
I think he's doing it from.
Oh, yeah. We're fighting with the PA here. Would you like to announce the next one?
Yeah, I'll just announce the next one. That's eWest's poster. It was called Net Zero. We tried to get in touch with them, but we didn't hear back from them. But they basically played on the metaphor of a net catching carbon dioxide as within the treescape. Oh, there it is. Then we have the Jury Prize for the Capturing GGR category. We have the winner right here.
Congratulations, Han. Well done. So, Han, maybe you can tell us about this image, because it might not be immediately obvious to everyone what's going on here.
It's an honor. Thank you very much for the prize. Right, this is an ongoing research project in which we have put biochar, sorry for those who are not really for biochar, into green concrete. And then we managed to get some data that indicates that it's able to capture CO2 in both seawater and fresh water. So now we are testing this structure to be perhaps a nursery for seagrass, all right, and hopefully the result will turn out to be positive. By the way, this may look futuristic, but it is not AI. It is not even Photoshop, it's the real deal. Thank you very much.
Everyone else is online, so thank you very much.
The second prize in the juried category was Amy Rudock, who's also a GGR researcher. She also has a message.
Hello Oxford and the GGR competition from Teesside. I'm sorry I can't be with you, but thank you for voting for me and my girls in the GGR image competition. I've always loved that image because it brings both the wizard and the prophet perspective of how we solve climate change. If you haven't read that book by Charles Mann, then I really recommend it. The wizardry perspective says that human ingenuity can solve climate change through technological advancement, and the prophets say that there is a fundamental limit, and we need nature. And in that photo, you have both. You have the Carbon Engineering Innovation Centre pioneering direct air capture, and you have the greenery of Vancouver and nature doing its part. And then, of course, the icing on the cake, my two girls who would like to thank you too and promise to be 2050's leaders.
And we now come to the Popular Choice Awards. The first prize was Molly Brooke Palmer, who did a collage called Pathways. We tried to get in touch with them as well, but didn't hear back. But you can go and see their image and also find out more about all of these images online if you follow the QR code outside. And then the second prize was Freya Morris, who's done this beautiful lino cut called Carbon Sponges. Again, we tried to get in touch with them, but we couldn't. Please go and read up more about the image online if you get a chance. And for the first prize for capturing GGR in the Popular Choice category, we have Anna Starek. Anna, would you like to say a word about your image?
We promised this wasn't an inside job, but this was
I swear.
genuine popular vote, voter's choice. So.
I don't know how to hack the system, I promise. Yeah, when I first took on to event manage this conference on negative emissions, I wasn't even sure what negative emissions was. So I decided to look it up, and I was really excited to find me and my partner are very passionate about nature. We do like a lot of walks, a lot of foraging, and we found that a lot of the walks we do is full of things like peat, which is already doing a lot of amazing carbon capture work. So it was really nice to see that where we already were, there was already this amazing carbon capture happening. So this is a peat bog, which is in Lye Valley, which is about a mile from here. So it's a very, very lovely fen if anyone's into fens. So thank you.
Well done, Anna. Thank you. That's the last one in person, so thank you.
And that stunning image is the very last of our winners. They are the second prize in the popular choice category. It's Michael Swat, who's also sent a message.
He's here in person.
Michael, would you like to speak to the room?
As you wish, as it's easier.
So go ahead.
All right. So yeah, thanks everybody for voting for me. I'm really thrilled and happy, and I was a bit surprised by the email. So yeah, I'm a knowledge transfer manager in Geomar Kiel, working on artificial upwelling in the project Test Startup. And there we did this, or announced a field test for a wave pump to test artificial upwelling, where we introduced this fluorescent dye, non-toxic dye, to actually see how the deep water is mixing with the surface water. And of course I had to go in and see it by my own eyes. And this way I was able to take this picture with my buddy in the front of the plume. And unfortunately, which you can't see on the picture, is that the test only, the wave pump only managed to pump for several hours, and then it broke. So it shows the low technical readiness for artificial upwelling, but it also shows that you have to go outside and test it in the real world. So yeah, thanks to everybody who supported me doing pictures above and below water. And yeah.
Steve would indulge me another 15 seconds. We have a message from Amy Rudock's children.
Oh, yes,
in the photo.
Yes. Let's hear them, definitely.
Thank you for our award. We promise to continue your work to 2050 and beyond.
Wow. I don't know if we've got them to sign a contract already, but that's wonderful news. Excellent. Can I say I'm really pleased with how that competition panned out. We weren't quite sure what we were doing when we started, but we thought it might be a good idea. But it's wonderful to see the images come in and also your involvement. Our theory really was that greenhouse gas removal, carbon dioxide removal is a really new venture, and at the moment it's really unknown or really quite theoretical to people, and it's very easy to have theoretical discussions about it. But now we're starting to see it emerge in the real world, and seeing pictures of real communities, real people involved in it or imagining it is important. And we're hoping to be able to use those images more in the work that we do in core and elsewhere. So thank you all for being involved. If you didn't get the chance to see those images, I hope they'll still be outside just for a little bit longer. And they are on the website if you go to the core website. So thank you all. We're really coming to a close now. It's 4:15, but I could not finish this without thanking just a few people briefly who've been absolutely crucial to this whole conference. One of the people is also a prize winner, so doing pretty well today. I'm wondering, Anna, could you just come up? We'd like to say a huge thank you to Anna for all the conference organising. Anna, thank you. Thank you so much. I've got a little, I have a little
card for you
Oh,
there,
thank
and some
you.
flowers as well. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet.
We've loved your dress sense as well as your incredible capability to keep the show on the road, so thank you.
Thank you.
And also, Michael, if you would like to come up. Michael is the project manager for CORE, and she has, from the very beginning over the last several months, been organising this conference, working very much in the background. Maybe you haven't seen her so much, but that's been because she's been on emails, darting around, managing things. So Michael, thank you so much for all your help as well. But a little thank you card for you.
So much.
Thank you. Yes, Michael recruited Anna as well. So, just two others very briefly. Ume, not only have you been running the image competition, but you've been helping organise the scientific steering committee, running the Goodbye Greenhouse Gas event last night. So, Ume, thank you so much for your help as well. There you go. Thank you. And Helen, is Helen around? Helen, do come down. So you probably really haven't seen much of Helen because she's been the one who, rather than enjoying everyone's company, she's been locked away in a room doing social media and checking that all the online stuff is running. She's our comms manager. So Helen, thank you so much for everything you've done as well. Really appreciate it. Thank you all so much. Not only you guys, but also the team of volunteers we've had, master's students, DPhil students, postgrads, everyone who's mucked in. So thank you so much for making the conference happen. It really wouldn't have run without you. Thank you. You can head down. Maybe later. So just a little bit of housekeeping before I officially close the conference. If you've got a poster and it's still out, you haven't rolled it up, please take your poster back with you. Otherwise, we will recycle it. Or we don't have a carbon capture and storage facility, so we can't do that. Sorry?
Can we invite the volunteers up to do a photo?
Yes, or should we do that outside just afterwards? Is that all right? Yep. Brilliant.
Do you want to tell people what I just suggested?
So what Mars has suggested is that, so Alak is very, very kind in hanging around just a few minutes longer. So if you were a volunteer on the conference, you can have your photo taken with them as a group just outside. So we'll do that in just a couple of minutes. So please take your posters. Please take your luggage. You'll be very sad if you leave here and you haven't got your luggage. And we'll be very sad too, because we'll be left with your luggage. So please do not forget that. All the talks, not only the plenary talks, but the parallel sessions, they were recorded and they will be available to watch back on the CVent platform for at least a few weeks before we archive them. So you have the opportunity to go back and watch the stuff that you missed. And just a final reminder as well, we sent out a message to all the speakers, but we are very, very keen to compile a set of extended abstracts, turn that into, we'll put those all together and put that into a volume that we have for posterity on the conference website. We'll give it a DOI so it's referenceable. Please do give us the 2-page version of your talk. If you didn't get that message, if you need a reminder of the template, email the core email address that you've been in touch with already. And we'd love to have that published as a record, a referable record of the conference. So with that, I'm officially closing the International Negative Emissions Conference 2024. It's been really delightful to have you in Oxford. Thank you for bringing the good weather with you. It wasn't this good before you arrived. I hope if this conference has been anything like for you as it has been for me, it's been an awful lot of fun. It's been incredibly enriching. I've learned a lot, and I've really enjoyed catching up with friends and making new ones as well. So I hope we can do it all again in Vienna in a couple of years' time. We'll see you then. But in the meantime, safe travels and see you all soon. Thank you.